A man has just awakened the strongest hidden class in history, but is desperately pressing the delete character button, hoping to permanently delete his game character. It turns out this is a revolutionary holographic game where in-game gold can be exchanged for real US dollars, and if one is lucky enough to get a mythic level item, selling it can provide a lifetime of financial security. Even the ore mined in the game can be traded with real gold and silver. Business-savvy players manipulate market prices by analyzing supply and demand relationships to make a profit. Therefore, when the last game capsule in the world arrived, Yoon Jae-young couldn't wait to log in. His character's nickname is still Dex. As the game Arcadia starts, Yoon Jae-young is transported to the beginner's village. The national server has just recently launched, yet the beginner's village is already overcrowded. Here, teams are formed to level up and trade materials and various items. The first quest for newcomers is to defeat a slime. However, precise operations in a virtual reality game are quite challenging, so the game provides 3 basic skills to help newcomers correct their combat techniques. Yet Yoon Jae-young, known as the god of PC games, immediately shows his extraordinary gaming talent. He uses the simplest execution skill, but makes it feel like a swift sword slash. The second beginner quest is to read 100 books in the library. While most players skim through the books to quickly complete the quest, the protagonist spends days carefully reading each book. This is one of the secrets behind his ascent to the top of the server rankings. However, the NPC librarian can't help but laugh, thinking this person is just pretending to be diligent to deceive himself. Today, after reading the 100th book, the protagonist asks the NPC for the second volume. At this moment, it seems like the NPC is invaded by the highest authority intelligence. She subconsciously retrieves the second volume from the warehouse. Why was this second volume stored separately? Yoon Jae-young is puzzled, but the AI-controlled NPC smirks. This is a special book that only appears when actively borrowed. Yoon Jae-young feels a twinge of suspicion. However, the moment his finger touches the book, the scene switches to the holographic game's internal system, where the highest intelligence, Alice, suddenly experiences a multitude of pop-ups. The hidden quest in the beginner's village is now activated, designating this player as the subject for analysis. The first volume, read by Yoon Jae-young, contained the story of the adventurer Ezreal's hidden treasure. The location of the treasure is unknown, but it is certain that this item was the most ancient trace of darkness. The second volume he just borrowed clearly marks the location of Ezreal's treasure, hidden in the depths of a ruined lake near the beginner's village. The next second, the protagonist is teleported to the shore of a ruined lake. After a long observation, he finds no clues. Suddenly, a series of pop-ups flood in front of him. Congratulations, player Dex, for triggering a B+ level quest to find the earliest trace of darkness. According to the document, find and verify the ancient trace of darkness at the bottom of a ruined lake. Yoon Jae-young thinks to himself that currently, the highest difficulty level of the quests in the entire server is only C+. Completing a B+ level hidden quest would make him the top player in the server soon. He leaped towards the lake surface, and after diving 50 meters, he still couldn't see the bottom. The lake wasn't that big. How could it be so deep? His diving skill upgraded to B level. As he dove more frequently, not only did the depth of his dives increase, but his stamina also increased by 1 point. Yet, Yoon Jae-young had dived 200 meters and still hadn't seen a trace of the lake bed. A weary Yoon Jae-young, looking towards the end of the sunset, began to think about giving up. Who would want to waste their time like this? It's the early days of the game's launch, and other players are leveling up by fighting monsters, while I've wasted so much time improving my diving skill. Most importantly, with a monthly mortgage payment of 920,000 for the game capsule, Yoon Jae-young had hoped to pay it off by selling equipment he found in the game, but the hidden quest was designed just for him. Well, I just hope the reward for the hidden quest is substantial enough. After 10 whole days, Yoon Jae-young finally pulled a necklace from the lake bed. Was this the mysterious artifact Ezreal had hidden at the bottom of a ruined lake? At the same time, a pop-up announced that the diving skill had upgraded to a level, stamina increased by 1 point, and water attribute mastery increased by 10 points. Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden quest and receiving the reward, Shadow Necklace. This item contains the unknown ancient trace of darkness, the earliest trace of darkness. Consider carefully before using. Yoon Jae-young chuckled bitterly. The description of this item sounds like a threat. A pop-up asked, "Do you want to use the Shadow Necklace?" Yoon Jae-young decisively clicked confirm. The same pop-up asked again, and Yoon Jae-young clicked confirm a second time. Are you really sure you want to use it? Yoon Jae-young's fingers were numb from pressing confirm, yet the pop-up kept persuading him not to use it. I said I'm sure I want to use it. Why are there so many confirmation pop-ups? His ambiguous words made Yoon Jae-young shudder. Who exactly is talking to me? The next second, a huge pop-up appeared. Congratulations, you have changed your profession to the hidden class Bard of Anarchy. Your level system has been cleared, and you have gained new attributes, plausibility. A new quest has been updated. The moment he saw the quest, Yoon Jae-young's heart sank. Other people's beginner quests are to kill 100 slimes, and my beginner quest is to continuously kill newbie players for 7 days? Yoon Jae-young, while cursing, frantically pressed the character delete button. However, a pop-up indicated that the game character was permanently bound to the hidden class, and the deletion failed. Yoon Jae-young's reason for wanting to delete his character was simple. The Bard of Anarchy, his hidden class, not only lacked a leveling system but also came with such bizarre quests. A leveling system is fundamental to any game. Without it, growth is stunted. Although it doesn't significantly affect combat at the beginning of the server, over time, the gap between him and other players would become insurmountable. He began to regret, "I should have stopped when that lunatic started talking nonsense." Yoon Jae-young lay back, looking up at the simulated sky in the game, lost in thought. Just waiting won't solve anything. After all, it's a hidden class. There must be other uses. Yoon Jae-young searched his status bar for a long time, but found only one difference from others: the addition of a plausibility value. But what exactly is the use of this thing? After reaching a mental breakthrough, a pop-up explained, "Plausibility is a consumable. The more points consumed, the stronger the host's ability to interfere with this world, even to the extent of artificially twisting the world's laws. To initially accumulate plausibility, one must complete the recent class change quest. Thus, killing newbie players will impact the game's operation, naturally accumulating plausibility." Just as the protagonist was about to draw his sword, someone else beat him to it. What a pity. It could have been a one-hit kill. 3 red-named players stepped forward in front of the newbie, smiling but threatening. "Hello, newbies. I am the master of this hunting ground. You are hunting here without permission." After hearing this, Yoon Jae-young was puzzled. The game has just launched, and there are already people monopolizing areas in the beginner's village. The red-named players then threatened, "Judging by your accents, you must be from Seoul. Plus, you were just talking about a mock exam, so you must be students. Just a little search of your usernames, and we could easily find out where you live. So, if you don't want to get killed, roll out from the monster spawn point." The students immediately sought help from the surrounding players, but were met with indifferent stares. One student tried to argue, "It's just a game. Is it necessary to go this far?" The thugs paused for a second, then burst into laughter. "You're right. What a great game, free from any legal constraints. Isn't this world all about the survival of the fittest?" Suddenly, with a thud, the thug's lower leg was severed from his body. It was because Yoon Jae-young had come to his senses. "You might be trash, but I think you're absolutely right." One after another, Yoon Jae-young's execution skills were precisely unleashed, his movements fluid, almost as if man and machine were one. 3 level 12 red-named players were instantly killed and forcibly logged off by the game system. The moment the protagonist's blade was drawn, his ID in the beginner's village was never green again. A pop-up congratulated him for gaining 3 points of plausibility. Just as Yoon Jae-young had guessed, each head provided 1 point of plausibility. Although he didn't know how to use it, collecting it was not easy. At this moment, the students, as if they had found a savior, said, "Thank you for saving us. We really don't know how to repay you." Yoon Jae-young's expression was calm and detached. "There's nothing to thank me for. After all, I still have to kill you guys. Buddy, don't be too sad. Like you said, it's just a game." The next second, 2 student players were slain by Yoon Jae-young with a single sword strike. Plausibility increased by 2 points. Yoon Jae-young turned and smirked at those behind him. "Good, now it's your turn." The bystanders, "You shouldn't have any complaints, right?" After a dozen screams, the whole forest fell silent. From that day on, a rumor circulated on Arcadia's official website that a real madman had appeared in the national server's beginner village. At night, which was an efficient time for newbies to hunt slimes in the forest, it also became the fastest place for Yoon Jae-young to hunt new players. To make the holographic game closer to reality, characters' visibility at night was very limited. Characters could also trip over stones while running, triggering a reduced movement speed status. At this moment, the newbie player was no longer the hunter, but the prey chased by Yoon Jae-young. The dangers hidden in the shadows are often the deadliest. Over the days, any newcomer who saw Yoon Jae-young was terrified. Now, the roles of hunter and prey were no longer fixed. The fear of being hunted permeated the entire forest. Newbies couldn't understand why, and the only response they received was his swift swordsmanship. "You're doing this kind of thing at the start of the game's launch. I don't believe the game company won't intervene." Yoon Jae-young suddenly stopped his massive sword. "I will definitely go to the official website and report you." You fool." The next second, Yoon Jae-young spoke righteously. "Didn't you see who's behind this?" The green hair player was left speechless. Without giving him time to think, his character was decapitated and forcibly logged off by the system. "Congratulations on eliminating a newbie, gaining 1 point of plausibility." Yoon Jae-young coldly eyed the accumulated plausibility points, turned his head, and yawned, because hunting newbies day and night was indeed exhausting. In Arcadia, the game's death penalty was a 24-hour login restriction, but at this moment, Arcadia's customer service department was swamped with calls from hundreds of customer service representatives since morning. Moreover, all player complaints were about the same person. The team leader, with a face full of frustration, announced, "Everyone will work overtime today. We must soothe the players' emotions." At this time, Yoon Jae-young had been hunting in the game for 2 days and 2 nights. "Up to now, my plausibility has reached 1025. I wonder if it's really okay to hunt newbies like this. Plus, it's an official quest given to me. Although there are still 4 days left for the quest, doesn't their game operations department have any issues? Anyway, it has nothing to do with me. Just then, a humming noise came from the forest. Slimes in groups approached Yoon Jae-young. The next second, a system notification appeared. You have rescued slimes in crisis. Your affinity with the slime race has increased. The next moment, Yoon Jae-young, surprised, was overwhelmed by a friendly squad of slimes. Yoon Jae-young actually enjoyed it. I'm no longer popular with people, but getting along with you guys isn't bad either. However, suddenly several torches appeared in the dark jungle. As Yoon Jae-young heard the voices of some players, he gently stroked the slime's forehead and said, "Little guys, you better run away." It turned out that green hair, who was hunted yesterday, came back with his roommates and patrolled the forest all night, finally spotting that familiar figure. "Brothers, let's go. It's that man in the black robe." To buy time for the slimes to escape, Yoon Jae-young ran in the opposite direction until he saw a glimmer of light ahead. When he reached it, he discovered it was the edge of a deep cliff. 5 players immediately blocked his path. Green hair triumphantly said, "Looks like the fish in the pot can't run now, can you? Kid, watch how I humiliate you." Yoon Jae-young scoffed disdainfully and decisively fell backwards off the cliff, choosing to jump off as the 5 watched in shock. This guy must really be crazy. However, as Yoon Jae-young jumped off the cliff, a sinister smile suddenly appeared on his lips. The next instant, he clicked the logout button, safely logging off. The next morning, videos about the madman were all over major video websites, sparking lively discussions among netizens. Of course, the discussions included many keyboard warriors. Since Green Hair was hunted by the protagonist, he started paying attention to the official website. He discovered that there were over 700 such complaints, so he decided to organize a counter-hunting campaign. If any players are interested, please wait in the channel I've created. Just minutes after the post went up, more than a dozen players who had grudges against the protagonist gathered in the newbie village square. Green Hair announced, "Guys, we're starting the crusade against the troller campaign now." But as soon as the campaign started, it triggered a village-wide quest in the newbie village. Suddenly, all players in the newbie village saw the same quest pop up. The biggest charm of the holographic game Arcadia is its ability to generate storylines based on user actions. It captures not only in-game messages but also stories from online discussions and realizes them in the game. And it was all thanks to the game's AI overmind Alice. The main storyline quest, Brewing Forgotten Darkness, was triggered. With the quest notification, all players in the newbie village capture the unidentified serial butcher. After sleeping for 12 hours, Yoon Jae-young finally woke up. As soon as he opened the official website of Arcadia, a look of indescribable frustration appeared on his face. Special event by the official bounty hunter, capture the butcher. Surprisingly, there were over 2,000 comments below. Did I make 2,000 enemies while I slept? Do I really have to give up on the newbie hunting quest? Glancing at the expensive game capsule bought on high installment next to him, how am I going to pay off the 920,000 monthly installment? Thus, Yoon Jae-young logged into the game, and looking at the forest where the slimes lived, he sighed. This is such a perfect place for hunting newbies. Just then, a battered slime approached him, seemingly chased by adventurers. "I told you not to choose the mage class. You can't even chase down a wounded slime." When the 2 newbies found the slime, they discovered another player standing nearby. The warrior advised, "Sir, this is our prey, and it's unethical to steal kills." Yoon Jae-young glanced at the slime, and seeing its pitiful eyes, his gaze suddenly became icy. He put on his hood and walked towards the 2. "Sir, are you really going to fight us?" The mage felt a sense of familiarity. This guy's look seems very familiar. Seeing that the protagonist did not stop, the newbie warrior immediately stepped forward and pushed him, but the protagonist remained silent. The next second, Yoon Jae-young smirked mischievously as the system gave the newbie warrior a red name punishment for initiating an attack. Yoon Jae-young took this opportunity to lie on the ground and play the victim. "Brothers in the woods, come out, I'm down. The butcher from the official website is right in front of me." The next moment, thousands of eyes turned towards the source of the sound, their desire for the event rewards fully displayed. Just as the red-named warrior was about to make excuses, Yoon Jae-young had already fled with the slime. The newbie mage's mind finally cleared. "I knew this man in the black robe looked familiar. He's the newbie butcher posted on the official website." But by the time he realized it, it was too late. The edge of the cliff suddenly burst into brilliant flames due to the altercation. Elsewhere, Yoon Jae-young fled deeper into the forest with the slime. "Little guy, you are finally safe now. Your wounds should heal automatically, right?" A pop-up then announced, "Congratulations on rescuing the slime. Your affinity with the slime species has reached the maximum value, earning the title Slime's Friend." Predictably, after all, Yoon Jae-young had slain over 1,000 newbies at the slime habitat. Just as Yoon Jae-young wondered what use having a level 1 slime species affinity could possibly have, another pop-up appeared. "Plausibility has reached the minimum threshold. You have formed a cooperative relationship with the slimes, and you can use plausibility to aid the slime species." Aid in what sense? He stared at the slime's information window for a moment, then looked at his plausibility score of 1025, and a wicked idea suddenly sprouted in his mind. This game is truly insane. So-called plausibility can actually be used like this. The next second, Yoon Jae-young clicked confirm, using all 1025 plausibility points. Acting through his hidden class, Bard of Anarchy, he channeled all the plausibility into the slime. An instant later, a beam of golden light shot up into the sky, illuminating the entire forest. A pop-up announced that the entire slime species' base ability values had been altered. All slimes in the newbie village had been upgraded to level 15. Wild monsters are an essential part of the game, serving as whetstones for newbies to practice on. However, while a level 1 newbie has 100 hit points, a level 15 slime now possesses 150 attack power. Newbies logging into the game for the first time often think of slimes as perfect practice targets. Unbeknownst to them, the unassuming slimes are insanely powerful. A level 1 newbie merely touched by a slime would immediately meet their demise, receiving a 24-hour login restriction penalty as well. From that moment, the entire newbie village was thrown into chaos. The roles of hunter and prey permanently switched, with newbies, not slimes, now being the ones hunted. But this was exactly the scenario Yoon Jae-young wanted to see, because each slime-enhanced newbie kill added to his plausibility score. Moreover, originally passive unless attacked, the slimes now began actively hunting newbies due to their enhancement. The slime's attack characteristics had all changed due to the enhancement. Thus, Yoon Jae-young began to ponder, so his plausibility score essentially changed the game, didn't it? Perhaps this ability was more complex than he had imagined. But then he thought, isn't this what makes the game fun for me? In just 2 hours, his enhanced slimes had slain over 3,000 newbies. This efficiency was 4 times what Yoon Jae-young had achieved before. It seems the task of killing newbies is meant to tell me to keep strengthening slimes, then rely on them to amass a large amount of plausibility, right? But when Yoon Jae-young tried to use plausibility to further enhance the slimes, the system suddenly indicated that the enhancement had failed. Well, the efficiency is high enough now, so little guys, the task of grinding is yours. Meanwhile, Arcadia's storyline planning team was in turmoil, but the team leader was convinced that the situation inside Arcadia was not due to a system error. After all, this was a world calculated by cutting-edge modern technology, where everything proceeded according to plan. So, he decided to log in himself to check. Level 3 access confirmed. Kwang Myung-han's executive identity verified. Entry permitted. But the team leader didn't enter the Arcadia game world. Instead, he went to consult with the game's AI brain center, Alice. On the other hand, Yoon Jae-young logged into the game, ready to see his harvest. However, he discovered that the slime forest was completely empty. A total of 9,640 newbies have been hunted. Yoon Jae-young was clearly dissatisfied with the result, suspecting that news of the danger in the newbie village had spread online, even attracting adventurers above level 15 to hunt slimes there. In short, the bonus had disappeared. Although the rate of increase had slowed, it had not stopped completely. Not until Yoon Jae-young's kill count reached exactly 10,000. A pop-up congratulated him on eliminating 10,000 newbies and awarded him the title Beginner Killer. Congratulations, you have exceeded the set task reward range, and an intermediate reward chest is being settled early. That's a pleasant surprise. Let's see what's in the chest. As Yoon Jae-young clicked to claim the chest, a surge of dark power suddenly erupted from it, and a terrifying oppression faced him. With the appearance of a dark spot, the surrounding space began to crumble and disintegrate. Could the reward be this black orb? A crack appeared in the center of the black orb. In the next instant, the crack tore the orb apart, and a force of destruction spread around. A demonic shadow emerged from the crack, its innate murderous intent instilling a deep fear. His deep, hoarse voice could not hide the evil and cunning on his face. Who are you, daring to summon me? Yoon Jae-young's cells thrummed with excitement. What exactly have I summoned with such an imposing presence? Seeing the demon's ID, Yoon Jae-young's pupils dilated. His visitor was none other than the chaotic ruler, Satan the Demon King. Satan, with a devilish smirk, said, "It seems I can't be summoned in my complete form, but this will do. Even this little power is enough to wipe out all those angels." But when Satan saw the human in front of him, the air suddenly fell silent. What the hell? Why do I look like this? Being this small is an insult to me, the Demon King. I just opened a game chest, and you were summoned, and the game says you're a summoned demon servant. Satan was dumbfounded. I, a great demon king, have been contracted as a demon servant? This madman didn't even discuss it with me before forcibly sending me here. There's a pile of things waiting for me back in the demon world. Yoon Jae-young eyed the frantic demon. Is this guy really Satan the Demon King? Satan muttered. It's almost over and yet this happens. Utterly speechless. Human, listen well. No matter what, I am now bound by a forced contract to be at your service. I'll be accompanying you for a while. Since I'm here, I might as well make the best of it. Just then, Satan sensed Yoon Jae-young's abilities and immediately became enthusiastic, sizing him up. Jackpot, you actually have such capabilities. Yoon Jae-young was also puzzled, and just then a pop-up appeared. You can use plausibility to unleash the power of the demon servant, but be careful not to be deceived or seduced by the demon. Satan began to negotiate with Yoon Jae-young. You possess the power to change the rules. If you give it to me, I can fulfill all your desires. Yoon Yoon Jae-young suddenly thought of plausibility. Could this guy really be craving this value? And what he mentioned about changing rules, does plausibility really have such a use? Satan confidently said. Anyway, the use of this power is limited in the hands of a human. Combining Satan's words, indeed, as he said, enhancing the entire level 1 slime species to level 15 is, in a sense, changing the rules. But when I wanted to enhance the slimes again, I couldn't take it any further. And even a character of the Demon King's caliber covets this value. It seems plausibility is indeed a special element. If I give you plausibility, what can you do for me? Satan casually waved his hand, unfolding a magic circle made of ancient patterns. The next second, a purple-black cloak appeared out of thin air. A pop-up appeared. Level 150 equipment. Nargle's Lament, capable of protecting the wearer from a fatal blow. Crazy, absolutely crazy. The national server opened later than other servers, and the global first in the level rankings is only level 50. And because I changed classes, I don't even have a leveling system. I might not even be able to equip this thing. But Satan took it as, obviously, this little thing won't satisfy you. After all, you are a human who has made a contract with a Demon King. At that moment, a light bulb went off in Yoon Jae-young's head. Although he didn't need equipment, he still had a problem at hand. Can you help me enhance monsters? Satan was puzzled. I am a Demon King. What kind of monster do you want to enhance? Slimes. Can you help me enhance slimes? That's a bit beneath me, human. Then Satan burst into maniacal laughter. Truly a madman for the ages. Impossible isn't in my dictionary. So how much plausibility are you planning to give me? Yoon Jae-young negotiated. I'm going all in. Fair enough. Then the contract is set. A magic circle, 10 times more complex than before, unfolded beneath Yoon Jae-young's feet. Thunderbolts of destruction descended from the sky above the slime forest, and the ground began to crumble. The slime species in the forest suddenly went berserk. Their inner hatred awakened, turning them all dark. The players were terrified, watching helplessly as countless slimes converged on them. They thought they were doomed, but the slimes that had just rushed in began to converge in one direction. Once all the slimes reached the designated spot, they started to liquefy, all to give birth to a great king who could lead their species. The first level 100 Lord level boss of the server, the Slime Queen, was thus born. Meanwhile, all the players in the newbie village received a pop-up simultaneously. Slimes, the most peaceful species, had inexplicably suffered at the hands of players. After enduring countless times, they finally erupted. Some players who had just been relieved of a 24-hour death penalty logged in only to be sent home again. The protagonist looked at the Slime Queen born from his actions, utterly confused. What exactly did you do, my little one? I only asked you to help me strengthen the slimes, not to create a boss for me. Demon King Satan proudly explained. I merely awakened their spirit of vengeance, and it resulted in such an effect. Creating a monarch was their own spontaneous action. Out of the over 8,000 points of plausibility you gave me, I allocated less than 3,000 to the slime species. Yoon Jae-young kept silent, thinking to himself that just this amount of plausibility could evolve a seemingly insignificant species to such an extent. It seems this is where the true power of plausibility lies. The entire newbie village, due to the appearance of the Slime Queen, was forced into a desperate struggle against the slime onslaught. At this time, all players in the newbie village received the same mission. Main quest Brewing Forgotten Darkness activated, with the related mission Slime's Wrath. The victory condition is to protect the newbie village and defeat the Slime Queen within 7 days. If the village's guardian stone is destroyed, the mission is considered a failure, and the newbie village will be permanently destroyed. Looking at the first level 100 Lord level boss, all the newbies were terrified. Yet, looking at the chaotic state of the newbie village, Yoon Jae-young decided to hold his troops back. Satan then suggested, just quietly destroy the guardian stone, and wouldn't that end everything? Yoon Jae-young's response was, let's wait and see. Satan began to speculate. Are you planning to break the crystal at the last moment of the countdown? You're almost as wicked as me. Actually, that's not the case, because since the Slime Queen appeared, Yoon Jae-young's system pop-ups haven't stopped. Congratulations on killing a newbie. Gain 1 point of plausibility. In just a few minutes, he had accumulated an unknown amount of plausibility. But Yoon Jae-young also needed to make a decision, so between players and monsters, on which side could he gain more benefits? At this time, the official internal staff were sitting in a meeting room watching this battle unfold. The level 100 Slime Queen has skills like Roar of the Ruler and the never-before-seen Leap, but her trait is continuously generating kin that detest players. The minister was immediately shocked. The server should be taken down immediately. And how could a level 100 monster appear in a newbie village? Even the lead designer said they had never designed such a monster. We must protest to the head office. Their laissez-faire policy is an abuse of power. The minister fell into deep thought. First, the main plot was suddenly triggered, followed by the inexplicable butcher of newbie's quest, and finally, the rage of the slimes turned into a siege battle for the survival of the newbie village. Could it really not be a bug, but rather triggered by a player's actions? After all, Arcadia itself is a game of infinite possibilities. A statement instantly made all team leaders ponder. After all, based on the discussion of the generation logs, the triggering of the mission was very reasonable. impossible. Therefore, the minister decided that regardless of what penalties the mission entailed, perhaps it was also a result of the AI brain Alice's logical calculations. However, on the battlefield where they were fighting against the slimes, some players inadvertently protected an NPC guard and triggered the hidden class conversion quest for Guardian. It appears that the rage of the slimes brought not only fear but also many hidden treasures. To meet the awakening conditions for the conversion, one must stop the Slime Queen's rampage. Thus, the siege battle continued for 3 days and nights. With half of the 7-day time limit passed, some newbies were bullied by slimes into quitting the game, but there were also experts in the national server. These high-level players, having heard the rumors, joined the battle in droves, forming special action teams. When a character hunts over 10,000 slimes, they earn the most dazzling green title, Slime Slaughter. This title grants an additional 40% damage to slimes and 30% damage immunity. As more and more players acquired the title, the slimes started to lose ground. The newbie players saw hope and rejoined the battlefield, finally seeing a glimmer of light in the darkness. However, the protagonist, who was watching from a dark corner, had accumulated a terrifying amount of plausibility. The pop-up displayed that you have eliminated 32,576 newbies, with still a day and a half left in the mission time. Even Satan couldn't help but praise. Eliminating 30,000 people, truly a great battle. Not bad at all. Such an evil human player is worthy of being a Demon King's contract partner. Looking at the remaining 20,000 plus points of plausibility, the protagonist pondered how to maximize his profits next. Satan was right. If he continued to do nothing, the human players would probably win. After thinking for a moment, the protagonist's lips curled into a wicked smile. If that's the case, it would be no fun. So, Yoon Jae-young once again donned his cloak to conceal his identity. Satan noticed the bloodstains on the cloak. What kind of person was this guy before? However, Yoon Jae-young muttered to himself, if I have to take a side anyway, I won't just watch from the sidelines this time. I'm going to stand with the slimes. He had already planned everything in his mind. Only by doing this could he maximize his profits. Meanwhile, the minister arrived at Arcadia's headquarters. Please stop the siege mission. Clearly, President Lee Mi-eun did not agree. As the slime siege in the newbie village was approaching its climax, there wasn't a single slime left in the village, and the siege was only minutes from ending. After all, they hadn't been able to break through the national server experts' defense line all week, and it was unlikely a miracle would happen in the last few minutes. And in 10 more minutes, I will be able to convert into the hidden class Guardian. However, just when there were exactly 10 minutes and 0 seconds left until the siege ended, the sky over the newbie village suddenly turned blood red. The protagonist, Yoon Jae-young, now in a black robe, made his entrance. So, Slime Queen, let's start together. In the next 10 minutes, all newbies could only endure extreme fear. Wherever the Slime Queen passed, large numbers of newbie players died instantly. She occasionally also split off some slime soldiers to participate in the slaughter of the newbie players. The fear of death finally erupted in the hearts of the newbies. Some brave souls tried to awaken everyone's fighting spirit, but before they could finish their speech, they were slapped to death by the Slime Queen. However, the Slime Queen was not entirely invincible. The strongest adventurer in the national server opened all his mics and shouted, "Everyone, just hold on for 5 more minutes and the siege will be over." The newbies seemed to see some logic in this, because as long as they could keep the Slime Queen's hatred focused away from the Guardian Crystal, they could win the battle. Inspired by the national server's #1, newbie players began to shout, "Even if it costs us our lives, we owe it to our efforts over these 7 days." In the battle against the Slime Queen, the newbies attempted to use a human wave tactic to block her advance, resulting in countless casualties. With only the last 10 seconds of the siege mission remaining, the Slime Queen had not yet reached the range to destroy the Guardian Crystal. In a rage, thousands of players were slapped offline by the Queen. However, just 7 seconds left in the siege, the #1 player on the national server went all out, depleting all his mana to enhance the giant sword in his hands. He then leaped towards the Slime Queen's head, but the next second, a casually activated shield from the Queen sent him flying with a harsh blow. But with only 3 seconds left on the countdown, the national server's #1 player laughed triumphantly. "We are the ultimate victors. The newbie village cannot be permanently destroyed." The severely wounded top player fell beside the crystal pedestal. The last second ticked away, and no miracle was expected to occur. Unexpectedly, half a second later, the Guardian Crystal suddenly shattered. He turned his head in shock only to see a player in a black robe fiercely plunging a sword into the crystal, a scene he would never forget. Yoon Jae-young nonchalantly explained, "Sorry, my hand slipped." At that moment, a server-wide notification appeared. The village's Guardian Stone has been destroyed, the protection mission failed, and the newbie village will be permanently destroyed. The #1 player on the national server turned pale, unable to believe such an ending. After Yoon Jae-young pulled out the giant sword, completing the mission, he remarked, "Thankfully, I didn't waste any opportunity to accumulate plausibility points." By the time other players arrived, it was too late. The player in the black robe stood on the shattered crystal pedestal, seemingly proud of his achievement. As expected, it, Jae-young was bombarded with a barrage of insults, but he scoffed. "You still have the mood to talk like this?" A pop-up announced that the newbie village had been permanently destroyed. Subsequently, the slime queen transformed into a dark purple orb that exploded in the sky, spraying slime in every corner of the newbie village. The falling green slime slowly drifted upwards, gradually coalescing into spherical forms. Could these slimes be consolidating into slimes? It's impossible for monsters to spawn inside the newbie village. Suddenly, 3 thick bolts of lightning struck the newbie village, and at the moment the slime was dispersed, 3 level 80 giant slimes were spawned on the spot. A pop-up announced, "The slimes, once underestimated by players, have won the final victory in their brutal struggle against humanity and have successfully expelled all humans." The next second, the level 80 slimes roared triumphantly, but the creation of slimes wasn't over yet, as they finally had their own queen. The level 100 Lord level boss, the Slime Queen, was fully formed. Even Yoon Jae-young couldn't help but praise the coolness of the scene. At this moment, the newbie village was no longer human territory but had completely transformed into the domain of the slimes. Simultaneously, all players received a notification: "You have entered a level 80 hunting ground. Please proceed with caution." Before the level 1 to 15 players could exit the territory, they were surrounded by level 80 slime soldiers awaiting execution. Yoon Jae-young smirked. "I warned you to stop running your mouths. After all, escaping is more important." After everything settled down, Yoon Jae-young prepared to log off to catch up on sleep, but he heard the humming of slimes behind him. The slime queen, leading the charge, embraced her benefactor. Yoon Jae-young felt as if he had collided with a marshmallow, very soft. Then, one slime after another overwhelmed Yoon Jae-young, generously expressing their gratitude. The slime queen led all her kin to prostrate before Yoon Jae-young, showing him their utmost respect and gratitude with the most honorable etiquette. A pop-up announced that he had received the title Slime Savior and the reward Slime's Crown. Yoon Jae-young was puzzled. What use was the crown? The next second, the pop-up clarified his confusion. "Congratulations, you have gained 2,413 plausibility points." Additionally, wearing the crown, Yoon Jae-young also received bonuses of +10 water attribute strength, +5 intelligence, and +5 physical resistance. He hid these achievements, but before logging off, he thought, wouldn't he become the public enemy of the entire server if someone saw this? After saying goodbye to the Slime Queen, Yoon Jae-young decided to take the Demon King Satan to the next battle site and then rack up a significant amount of plausibility points. The next day, the news of Arcadia's beginner town being destroyed made headlines in esports news, instantly provoking a frenzy of complaints from countless players. However, Yoon Jae-young felt his actions were quite justified. "I am merely acting according to the game's guidance. After all, my profession is Bard of Anarchy, which exists to disrupt game balance." As the news of the newbie village being destroyed spread further, some users quickly found an alternative location for the newbie village, a region called Mikhail Barony. The news spread from 1 to 10, and from 10 to 100, causing all new players to converge there for development. Suddenly, the entire game's commercial district was thriving due to their arrival. Initially just a town with an NPC blacksmith, boasted thousands of blacksmith apprentices within a mere week. However, the most horrifying aspect was yet to come. All the blacksmith apprentices were new players who had changed professions, each holding the determination to become a master craftsman. Yet, they set up stalls selling poorly made weapons, relying only on their penchant for false advertising. In such an environment, iron ore, which originally sold for 10 copper coins, was now being traded at 20 copper coins each. Some players wondered why not mine the ore themselves and sell it, only to face mockery from the amateur blacksmiths. Not to mention, the journey from the mine to the city took 2 hours, and the rate of finding iron ore was so low it made one question their life choices. All in all, it was better to let others mine while focusing on repairing equipment, which could improve skills and yield a lot of experience. Going mining oneself was seen as a low-cost benefit activity. Therefore, no players were willing to take on mining tasks. However, Yoon Jae-young smelled a huge business opportunity when he overheard a conversation between blacksmith NPCs by the roadside. "The Lord has recently demanded a quota for ore mining, but even if we worked around the clock, we couldn't meet the target." Hearing the word Lord, Yoon Jae-young's mind began spinning rapidly. "I didn't realize this town had such economic troubles. Maybe I can make a fortune from this." Every time Yoon Jae-young smirked devilishly, Satan knew he was probably up to something. Yoon Jae-young approached the 2 blacksmiths with a sly grin. "Perhaps I could help you solve this problem." At that moment, in Baroness Mikhail's office, the Baroness sat at his desk deep in thought, unable to comprehend how the price of iron ore had risen to 15 copper coins overnight. If this continued, the town's blacksmiths would lose most of their profits, and there might even be instances of them forging at a loss. Moreover, the market would soon be flooded with low-quality weapons crafted by apprentice blacksmiths. Perhaps some measures needed to be taken. However, as soon as the blacksmiths heard Yoon Jae-young was willing to take on a mining task, they immediately set him a quota of 20 iron ores for practice. Without delay, Yoon Jae-young rushed to the Mount Fian mine, accompanied by the Demon Lord Satan, an entered the deepest, most hidden part of the mine. Satan looked skeptical. "Master, are you sure about this? And to think you spent 8,000 plausibility points to have me do such a meaningless task." Urged on by Yoon Jae-young's impatience, a pop-up announced a successful weapon exchange, granting him the Equipment Den Destroyer. Its special ability allowed for accelerated mining and significantly increased gathering rates, with a chance to mine rare ores. The moment Yoon Jae-young began, his determination to become wealthy was fully ignited. It's worth mentioning that the Den Destroyer was remarkably powerful and highly efficient, causing a flood of ore notifications to sweep through the entire mine. In less than 3 hours, Yoon Jae-young's mining skill had reached the highest A level, not only boosting his character's stamina by 10 points, but also significantly increasing his mining speed and success rate. Crucially, he could now sense hidden minerals. After mining for 2.5 days, Yoon Jae-young had extracted over 1,000 iron ores, more than 100 silver ores, 33 gold ores, and a few rare minerals. However, possessing these minerals was only the second step in Yoon Jae-young's plan to become rich. The most critical third step involved Mikhail Baroness, who was currently worried about mining rates. If the Lord cannot supply enough iron, the blacksmith workshops might face closure at any moment. Trade guilds from other continents might stop collaborating with us due to the poor quality of weapons. In the eyes of the managers, the root of all problems was the influx of new players becoming blacksmiths. After all, the number of apprentices had increased, but not the number of miners, which was the core issue in the town. Just as Baroness was pondering what to do next, a guard rushed into the conference room exclaiming, "Baroness is also puzzled about why it's so bustling outside." It turned out that at the Baroness's mansion entrance, thousands of ores had piled up into a small mountain. Iron, gold, silver, and even rare magic crystal ores. Yoon Jae-young had deliberately sold all these ores to Baroness's mansion. After 3 days of mining, he had earned 3 gold coins and 10 silver coins, equivalent to about $500,000. If he mined continuously, he could make about $5 million a month. Such efficiency was still not enough to satisfy Yoon Jae-young's ambition, especially since his gaming capsule alone was worth 10 million, and it would take at least 2 months of mining to pay it off. To amass wealth quickly, he still needed to prepare some things. The next second, NPC Baroness took the initiative to find Yoon Jae-young. Before either had spoken, Yoon Jae-young had already gained Baroness's favor. Yoon Jae-young smirked, realizing that Baroness had finally taken the bait. "Greetings, esteemed Baroness. What brings you me today?" Baroness introduced herself. "My name is Mikhail, and I am the lord of this town. Would you like to join me for a tea if you have the time?" A pop-up asked whether to accept Baroness's invitation. It was now time to negotiate with NPC Baroness. Baroness was shocked to hear that Yoon Jae-young had managed to mine thousands of ores in just 3 days. Soon, Baroness briefed Yoon Jae-young on the town's economic problem of iron ore shortage. Yoon Jae-young knew this well, but still listened intently to NPC Baroness's explanation, knowing that it would surely trigger some sort of quest. Sure enough, the pop-up came, which was exactly what Yoon Jae-young was waiting for. Quest: The Lord's Dilemma. Please help the Lord increase the number of miners and improve the mining output. Yoon Jae-young promptly clicked to accept the quest. Then, he confidently patted his chest and sincerely said, "Lord Baroness, I came here specifically to solve the town's ore supply issue. However, I need to make some preparations first. If all goes well, we might see some initial results tomorrow." Completing these 4 steps, Yoon Jae-young had made significant progress in his plan to get rich. But what Yoon Jae-young needed to do next was even more crucial. From a realistic perspective, the Lord's Dilemma seemed almost impossible to solve. But Arcadia is, after all, a game, and players would definitely not engage in mining as a menial, non-profitable task. The first thing to do was to change the player's perception. Thus, Yoon Jae-young set up a video channel called The Destroyers Daily. Unexpectedly, the account's first video shot to the top of the gaming section's trending list, all because of a simple phrase: "You can actually make money through Arcadia." The video opens with a scene inside the Mount Fian mine, a location unfamiliar to no new player. Next, Yoon Jae-young displayed the earnings from 3 days, which had viewers drooling over the dozen gold coins. "Newbies, listen up. Initially, your mining skill is at F level, and in just 1 hour, you could mine 20 iron ores, which is 400 copper coins. Therefore, we need to first improve our mining skills. Not only will this enhance efficiency, but it also gives us a chance to discover rare minerals. Now that I have A-level mining, I consistently find a rare mineral every day." The mention of rare minerals instantly captivated the new players. Let's skip the boring mining part. At the end of the day, sell the ores to NPC merchants, and today's income alone is 1 gold coin and 82 silver coins, which is 130,000. Yoon Jae-young's few words instantly ignited the desire within people. Even those who were just about to quit the game now eagerly logged in as if possessed. The online world was immediately stirred by this. In fact, the mining efficiency showcased in the video was possible because Yoon Jae-young had exchanged cheat equipment from Satan. However, he cleverly edited out these facts, making it appear as if earning money was incredibly easy. That afternoon, all the pickaxes in the entire town were bought out by new players, who uniformly equipped themselves and rushed to the mine. Seeing this, Baroness couldn't help but smile broadly. Players who were once immovable as 9 oxen are now eagerly heading to the mines. So Dex, what exactly did you do? Yoon Jae-young replied nonchalantly. I simply ignited their primal desires. But Lord Baroness, don't be too happy just yet. There are 3 more steps before they willingly stay in the mines at your disposal. First, lower the miner's base salary to the minimum and give them a certain percentage of the minerals. This will help weed out the lazy ones who are just filling numbers. NPC Baroness had an epiphany. I never thought of that. Yoon Jae-young's casual probe was a test, and surprisingly, Baroness lacked even basic economic concepts. But Baroness had another concern. Even so, the price of iron ore is still very high, even doubling to 20 copper coins. Yoon Jae-young reassured Baroness, no need to worry. Even if the prices are high, those who need it will still buy it. In fact, for the master smiths, even at 20 copper coins per iron ore, the profit margins are still very significant. They haven't even raised their prices despite the increase in raw material costs. If anyone still thinks the price is too high, then let them mine it themselves. Isn't it natural for those who are thirsty to dig their own wells? Baroness felt as if she had achieved enlightenment. There's actually such a tactic in business. If you weren't an adventurer, I would hire you as my financial officer. However, Yoon Jae-young had set all this up just waiting for Baroness to offer him a reward. The next second, Yoon Jae-young placed a pre-written scroll on the table. Baroness looked at the scroll, puzzled. My lord, this is a project proposal I wrote. Open it and see. I guarantee you'll be satisfied. Know that one person can only bring limited profits. So how can we break through this limit? Quite simply, by leading a group above the individual. If Lord Baroness agrees to give me 10% of the mine's annual revenue, I will transfer the full ownership and management methods of this project to you. Seeing the town's enthusiasm for mining, the Baron had no reason to refuse. Satan was curious. What else is in the project plan? But Yoon Jae-young used a vivid metaphor. It's easy to go up the mountain, but hard to come down. Mining is a thankless task. An ordinary player can dig up at most 10 iron ores in an hour, and the reason I can mine rare minerals is that I have the Den Destroyer equipment. Satan understood immediately. You're setting a trap for the newbies to fall into, but why should they waste their time mining for you? Of course, there's a way to keep them. That is by selling entry tickets to the mine, and the poor have nothing but time left. Those who can't afford the entry tickets can pay with the minerals they mine. The price of a ticket is about 1 gold coin. Satan felt a shiver down his spine upon hearing this. Who would buy such an expensive entry? Not necessarily, because the message I put out is that mining is as easy as picking up money from the ground. So, I'm not worried about them being unwilling to pay a high price to enter. Yoon Jae-young immediately revealed a sinister smile. This way, I can just sit back and reap the benefits. The demon lord Satan only felt that Yoon Jae-young before him was truly a devil in his own right, extorting others without any sense of guilt. After some thought, he still felt that this guy was truly fit to be his master. After seeing Yoon Jae-young's video, a new player immediately rushed to the mine, only to be stopped by a guard. Don't you know you need a ticket to mine here? The young man was confused. This wasn't mentioned in the video. Has there been a change in the mine situation? The NPC guard then morally blackmailed him. Have you adventurers made any contribution to the development of this mine? No work, no food. Isn't it right to pay a usage fee? That makes some sense. How much is the entry ticket? Not expensive, only 30 gold coins a month. 30 gold coins, which amounted to a daily usage fee of 50,000, terrified the boy. He couldn't afford it. Was his dream of becoming rich overnight about to burst like a bubble? The guard immediately saw through the boy's thoughts. He smiled slyly and comforted. Don't be discouraged, young man. From your equipment, I can tell you're not wealthy, but our Lord has introduced a system for people like you. It's called Use Now, Pay Later. You can ask about the details at the consultation center. The NPC at the consultation center was stunningly beautiful, immediately lowering the boy's guard. Watching the young man walk towards the consultation center, the NPC guard looked like he saw a future where the boy would never return. Meanwhile, the sound of pickaxes striking rock continuously echoed in the mine, as everyone prayed to unearth a rare mineral so they could quickly pay off their entry fees. The NPC customer service showed a strange smile. It's surprising that these players are willing to become slaves. This easy to go up the mountain, hard to come down scheme surely couldn't have been thought of by the Lord himself. Whoever came up with this plan is truly a walking demon. At that moment, Yoon Jae-young's interface popped up. Daily mining goal of 10,000 iron ores achieved. Quest the Lord's Dilemma completed. Please find the Lord to receive your reward. Yoon Jae-young was also puzzled. How did it happen faster than I expected? But right now, Yoon Jae-young had no time to collect his reward, as Satan had brought him to a deeper part of Mount Fian. It turned out Satan had accidentally found an ancient relic under Mount Beyond. Although the place looked long abandoned, the relic's door was surprisingly clean and bright. Could there be magic on the door? So, what secrets lay behind it? Even the demon lord Satan was eagerly curious. As Yoon Jae-young touched the door, the seal magic on it was activated. A pop-up suggested, you can spend 15,000 plausibility points to break the seal. Faced with the unknown, Yoon Jae-young did not hesitate. If not now, when else to use the credibility points? After using the points, congratulations. Congratulations on discovering an unknown celestial altar. Satan smiled broadly. It indeed relates to an angelic relic. Just as Yoon Jae-young opened the relic, the game officials were in an uproar. The smart brain issued a warning. A user has prematurely entered the Mount Fian relic, contaminating 693 related tasks. It turned out that Mount Fian was the location where the first angel descended into Arcadia, once known as the majestic gateway to the heavens. To protect the relic, or veins were generated around it to divert attention. But now that players had prematurely opened the entrance to the relic, the ultimate consequence would be the contamination of the mythical quest, the Second Holy Demonic War. The Holy Demonic War was a fierce battle of life and death between angels and demons on the stage of Arcadia. Countless lives were sacrificed, and the entire continent suffered immensely. Had it not been for the World Tree's intervention, no creature in Arcadia would have survived the First Holy Demonic War. Meanwhile, Yoon Jae-young entered the relic ready to hunt for treasure. Let's go, Master. Let's empty all the treasures inside. So Satan, are you saying the treasure is inside this coffin? Because there is almost nothing in the relic. Only the coffin at the altar looks suspicious. So, little Satan, how shall we open it? After trying to lift it for about 10 minutes, the coffin remained immovable. There's no restriction on it, just that the lid is too heavy. Yoon Jae-young, just a new player, simply didn't have enough strength. The demon lord then said the coffin lid was also a rare mineral. So, the greedy Yoon Jae-young immediately put on safety goggles and then took out the den destroyer, naturally intending to apply his mining technique to opening the coffin lid. As the drill clashed with the coffin lid, creating a loud burst, the lid shattered with a bang. A pop-up then announced, "You have destroyed an ancient artifact unknown to many." The celestial beings are shocked by the player's actions. Your favorability with the celestial realm has dropped to the lowest. Title gained, Desecrator of Artifacts. However, when Yoon Jae-young saw what was inside the coffin, he looked disdainful. Other than a tattered piece of clothing, there's just a necklace around the skeleton's neck. It hardly looks like any great treasure. Satan pointed at the skeleton and said, "Master, you are unaware. The necklace around its neck is the most precious item in the entire mine." Just as Yoon Jae-young picked up the necklace, a game pop-up announced, "Congratulations, you have picked up the glorious celestial metal. A holy aura will purify the impurities within you." As the holy light desperately surged into Yoon Jae-young's body, the holy apparition from the celestial metal became more solid, until the apparition's facial features were clear. A wave of holy energy, stronger than before, swept around. The demon lord Satan felt as if he was being torn apart by the holy light. Yoon Jae-young felt as warm as if he were basking in sunlight. Just as the apparition was about to grant Yoon Jae-young the hidden profession, the Great Prophet, a flame ignited in Yoon Jae-young's chest, seemingly declaring his sovereignty. At that moment, the game issued a warning. You are not a Holy Series player. A fatal system error has occurred. Equipment will be temporarily disabled. Arcadia Virtual Reality Company will prioritize fixing the bug and taking measures. Yoon Jae-young broke out in a cold sweat. It seems my original hidden profession is repelling it. Anyway, the game company will resolve it for me. But that's it for now. What we're doing now would be called grave robbing in reality. If traces are found, I won't be able to continue in the game world. So, little Satan, remember, always clean up your tracks. Watching Yoon Jae-young take out the den destroyer, Satan got goosebumps. Are you planning to destroy everything here? Yoon Jae-young revealed a benign smile, then went on a drilling frenzy. This should solve the problem. Just block the entrance, and it'll be perfect. Satan was dumbfounded. No wonder you are my master. Later, Yoon Jae-young arrived at Baroness Mikhail's mansion, ready to collect his reward from Baroness. Yoon Jae-young's arrival thrilled Baroness, as she wouldn't have to worry about a shortage of miners for the next year. She had contracts with 10,000 miners, and she would take 30% of their mining profits. How did you ever think of this method? Actually, Yoon Jae-young just got his inspiration from news about unscrupulous corporations. Compared to his initial encounter with NPC Baroness, she now seems to be stepping into the abyss of exploiting workers. After receiving 244 gold coins as a reward from Baroness, Yoon Jae-young was able to pay off his gaming capsule early. The next second, Baroness sincerely invited him. "Dex, are you really not interested in starting a business with me?" A pop-up appeared. Mikhail Baroness's proposal. If you agree to a partnership, you can enjoy the same rights as Baroness. Looking at such an attractive offer, to be honest, Yoon Jae-young was somewhat tempted. However, Yoon Jae-young declined, saying he was planning to travel across the continent. The next second, NPC Baroness handed out a letter of recommendation. With this, you can at least get some personal protection within the Maroon Kingdom. In this letter is also part of the quest reward. But Yoon Jae-young felt puzzled. You mentioned personal safety. Is there a conflict going on within the kingdom? Baroness spoke frankly. Actually, the royal atmosphere has been quite unusual lately. The king is old, but the prince who is to succeed the throne is really too young. Therefore, the radicals within the kingdom have started causing trouble in order to control power. The worst of them is Duke Beren. This guy has become the leader of the radicals, trying to make the new king his puppet. What's more disgusting is that he's proposing to start a war with a neighboring country at this critical moment, without considering the future of the country at all. If you take my recommendation letter to Count Brocken, he will definitely make good use of of you. Just when Yoon Jae-young decided to avoid this kind of plot, it was already too late. A pop-up indicated that a mandatory quest had been updated. Yoon Jae-young saw that the mandatory quest could not be refused, and he was devastated. He wished he hadn't asked more questions. Finally, Yoon Jae-young bid farewell to Mikhail Baroness, and all along the way, he pondered over the quest he had just triggered. Even Satan, the demon, knew that human political struggles were particularly troublesome, but Yoon Jae-young wanted to give it a try. After all, stirring things up is what could earn him more plausibility points. At that moment, a pop-up appeared. The glorious celestial metal's capabilities have been fully adjusted. Congratulations, this metal has become your medium to connect with the celestial realm. You will permanently summon the holy might of the celestial glory. Archangel Michael will descend to earth. It is known that angels and demons have been adversaries since ancient times, yet now, two leader-level beings had formed a permanent covenant with Yoon Jae-young. No sooner had the divine pet met the demonic pet than they wanted to fight a battle to the death. Come on, let's fight. Just like the great holy demonic war 1,000 years ago. First wreak havoc on all living beings, then bring about the end of the world. Caught in the middle, Yoon Jae-young had to play the role of the angel's messenger and the demon's confidant. These two, being leaders of their respective factions, bickered like neighborhood children. It turns out that in the great holy demonic war 1,000 years ago, Michael and Satan fought a decisive battle on Mount Fion. The angel had pierced Satan's abdomen. It was then that Satan noticed the holy spear in the angel's hand, despicable winged bastard, bringing a sacred weapon named Muspelheim. And Yoon Jae-young had read this story in the library. At that moment, Michael flew to Yoon Jae-young's side. I can sense the power you possess, but if plausibility falls into the hands of the despicable bat, it could be very dangerous. Therefore, to prevent you from being swayed by the devil's sugar-coated bullets, let me, Michael, become your guardian angel and lead you on the path of light. However, Satan laughed. Ha, foolish wings. I can guarantee as the leader of the demons, the human before you is more evil than any demon. In fact, Yoon Jae-young had to admit, after all, his profession, Bard of Anarchy, is strengthened by disrupting the world. Thus, everything I do in the game unintentionally aligns with the evil faction. After all, only by doing so can I acquire the plausibility to change all the rules. Angel Michael didn't see it that way. Human nature is fundamentally good. The mission of angels is to awaken the latent goodness in their hearts. Seeing Michael so proactive, Satan immediately realized this guy had ulterior motives. So Michael, I'm letting you stay for my master's sake, but don't even think about sharing his plausibility points. Michael genuinely laughed. With me here, don't think you can monopolize the master's plausibility points. Listening to their noisy quarrel, Yoon Jae-young called out to Michael, Little Michael, you know that whether it's angels or demons, this world always operates on capitalism. Since we're talking about credibility, so I ask, what can you offer me if I give you credibility points? Reciprocity is also a common principle in the celestial realm. There are indeed several weapons in the celestial realm that can aid humans, but Yoon Jae-young's current shortcoming is his character's combat ability. So Little Michael, can you provide me with combat capabilities? Although the Bard of Anarchy can master the plausibility to change rules, it lacks any means of attack. There isn't even a leveling system for the character. Yoon Jae-young's skills in mining and diving are of no help in combat. Although equipment can be exchanged through Satan, it doesn't compensate for my lack of combat prowess. At that moment, Michael thought of the best way to enhance power. A pop-up appeared. Divine Descent skill has been generated. You can use plausibility to temporarily borrow the power of the heavens. This power has no limit, but is closely related to the plausibility points provided by the master. After learning how to use it, Yoon Jae-young couldn't wait to activate the Divine Descent skill to test its power. The next instant, holy energy shot up into the sky, and even the demon lord Satan was pushed back by the sacred aura. The entire forest was illuminated by holy light, and the wild beasts deep in the woods immediately sensed the presence of an enemy. Brothers, follow me and attack, Michael explained. Master, this Divine Descent skill allows you to borrow the strength of ancient heroes who once fought bravely for the celestial realm. For example, the noble knight Farhan, the great wizard of truth, Merlin, the divine archer Parcel, and the great thief Murfin. Doesn't this mean that Yoon Jae-young now possesses the abilities of 5 different professions? Just then, several half-orcs came walking through the forest. Yoon Jae-young's left eye blazed with holy light. It would be a waste not to use the opportunity that had presented itself. Divine Descent activated. Yoon Jae-young chose the hero soul of the noble knight Farhan. He also had a title, the Demon Crusher, because the demon blood on the tip of his sword had never dried. Countless lives had been saved behind his shield. Demons had only one fate against him, to be torched and purified amidst terror by a great sword carrying holy light. The moment Divine Descent was activated, the sword and shield of Farhan appeared in Yoon Jae-young's hands. Satan's eyes widened, for not a single demon dared not recognize the weapons in Yoon Jae-young's hands. Divine Descent, as the name implies, imbues the wielder with the power of a deity. From Satan's reaction, it was clear that Farhan was considered a demon among demons in the eyes of the underworld. I've been waiting for you, my whetstones. The half-orcs hesitated at the sight of this power. What kind of power was this? Had these creatures gained intelligence? Why didn't they attack attack despite the provocation. Could it be that this forest's boss-level monster, a level 25 half-orc, was among them? So, when the half-orc leader swung his sword the next second, Yoon Jae-young merely unfolded the divine shield in his hand. It directly melted the orc's great sword. A pop-up appeared. Activation of the will that never retreats. This supreme power feels really good. Big guy, it's my turn now. With the conviction of justice and the sparks of dawn that illuminate heaven, I dispel all darkness in the world. Now, Yoon Jae-young could be said to be Parsifal himself. The half-orcs were terrified by the holy light. Yoon Jae-young, intoxicated with power, couldn't help himself. I'll be taking your heads now. The giant sword swung down, dazzling like a falling star, and the half-orcs turned into dust. A pop-up announced that the divine descent skill had been deactivated. It began to calculate the duration and the player's expenditure. You have used 352 plausibility points. At that moment, the night was clear and the moon bright. Yoon Jae-young shed the holy light possessing him and returned to his original form. Facing a level 25 monster, it was a complete overpowering. However, Michael was stunned by the scene. Even though it was divine descent, the power was unbelievably strong. Could a human body really withstand such force? Suddenly, Michael realized something. So that's it. His lips curled slightly. Creator, I finally understand why you sent me here. This human is the one who can change the course of the world. Michael, will keep a close watch on his every move. Meanwhile, Yoon Jae-young looked troubled. To him, the only downside of divine descent was its cost, because just now, a mere 5 minutes of divine descent had consumed over 300 plausibility points. If he faced a tough enemy, the consumption of plausibility points could be like a bottomless abyss. Yoon Jae-young then turned his head and looked at the once constantly bickering divine and demonic pets. These two guys could actually sleep peacefully together. But I should sleep too, especially since I have to go to the Maroon Kingdom tomorrow to carry out that damned mission. Recently, the political situation in the Maroon Kingdom has been tumultuous. The king is too old, and the prince is too young. The nobility within the kingdom are causing trouble to seize power. The worst among them is Duke Beren. He leads these radicals. In order to destabilize the king faster, he has proposed going to war with neighboring countries at this critical moment. It's all just to embezzle supplies and military pay. After all, as a duke, he can mobilize the entire military force of the Maroon Kingdom. Due to its geographical advantage, the Maroon Kingdom has become a hub for international trade. Here, several large trading companies operate, and the profits are quite substantial. I'm asking, I bring so much to trade, and none of your company heads come to receive me? Does the GM trading company look down on NPCs? Respected NPC merchant, are you satisfied to be received by me, the assistant manager? Sorry, our company head is currently meeting with the Duke, and inside the house, the Duke was none other than Duke Beren. Mr. Choi, I believe you may have guessed by now, the Maroon Kingdom is going to war with the Parkle Kingdom soon. As the head of the GM trading group, you should understand the stakes involved. Choi Jeju is well aware that this NPC Duke, who is ready to ascend to the throne, could bring him billions in profits as the perfect partner. It turns out that Choi Jeju is the youngest son of the chairman of the GM group. However, he could not handle the hardships of grassroots positions. Every position he took ended poorly, and he was often severely reprimanded by his father. The GM trading guild in the game was founded by this son who loved to play games, initially established purely for financial gain. Now, the chance to earn his father's approval lay before Choi Jeju. So, Duke, we will be buying large quantities of grain next. You'll need to help me negotiate a good price with the king. No problem. I will also ensure our Maroon Kingdom's officers give their maximum cooperation to the GM guild. The reason I came to seek help from a player-formed guild is simple. Just make sure not to draw NPC attention. At this moment, Choi Jeju's heart was racing. Choi Jeju's opportunity to rise in his father's eyes would arrive. He needed to gather funds quickly. As a duke who wanted to drain the national treasury and become king was a rare opportunity. If this deal goes through, the entire server economy of Arcadia could firmly end up in the hands of our GM group. Just wait, father. I will use this game to prove my business acumen.